having has been pretty awesome.
So we're live on LinkedIn and we're live on Facebook right now.
On Facebook, yes.
So we got everything working together. Why don't we introduce ourselves and what we're doing today, which is something a little different.
Absolutely. So if in case you can't tell, we're now using all my new gear, which is phenomenal. Like, I'm so excited about, finally stepping into the big boy.
It looks so good.
So at least it looks good on our screen. You probably can't see it because the stream's probably not working. Right. But yeah, I'm gregarious. I run FounderCraft, which is a coaching and mentorship company based here in Denver. Danny and I met a month ago or so.
Yeah.
But it turns out that we're both like live streaming nerds.
Love this.
And we realized that, there aren't a lot of great news sources out there for content about like what's happening in the live streaming world, or the world of what, as they call it, real-time content.
Real-time content. Creating anything from Instagram live videos to Facebook live videos to LinkedIn live videos to stories. We want to make sure, we just kind of decided that we wanted to stay on top of it.
Yep.
And why not, as we stay on top of it, really make sure that we keep the rest of you guys on top of it. So we're starting this sort of brand new show idea where we're just going to check out news that's happening and update you on statistics and trends and what's happening in our field of live video anyway. So we haven't quite named the show. We're going to let it go. But what we want to say to you is if you have ideas for shows or if you have information gaps that you don't quite know, put a question below. Let us know, and we're gonna investigate it. We're going to find out the details about it, and we're going to teach you what that's all about.
And I think, we've talked about a number of segments that we're thinking about potentially doing, right?
Yeah.
Like, so we'd love to know, tell us down below in the comments or ask us questions, but we're a little curious about there's a few types of things we think may be interesting to cover. Like, obviously reviewing like news analytics, studies, research, we're going to do some of that today.
I love that, news analytics. Yeah, we're going to do a lot of analytics today.
We also want to look at, we want to interview other live broadcasters, live streamers out there. So if you are out there and you would like to come on our show and share some of your knowledge and insights with the community, like, we'd love to have you as well. Mm-hmm. And in addition, we were thinking about, we wanted to show you in real time how we build a show. So we're going to be using some of this time to unpack what it takes to actually create the show. And so it ain't pretty, folks. There's a lot of moving parts, and we'll talk about like week by week, sort of like what we did. And even this week, we'll spend a little time catching you up on like what it took for us to get to this point.
Yeah, we'd like to start you at the beginning because we are streaming on DSLRs, both of us today. We are to the point where we're getting some great feeds, but we did not start here. We started with mistakes, so we want to encourage you that if you're a streamer that's making mistakes, good for you. You're getting closer to making high-end content, which is what you want to be doing. And a study that we're going to show you today that we're really going to talk about is really going to reveal kind of a new study that Social Insider did. Is that who it was?
Yep.
That a new study looks at rising Facebook video trends based on 9 million uploads. This is the article we're going to go over today, just to kind of show you some of these trends that they're seeing, some to do with vertical video, some to do with watch time, how much time people are actually spending time watching content. And we're really going to kind of highlight these trends in a real, genuine way.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So what do you want to talk about first?
Well, why don't we go through, there's some interesting charts or like key findings, I think, from the actual the study. So why don't we hit those up real quick?
Yeah, so we have this, let me get that image off. We have this stories and the emergence of vertical videos.
Yeah.
Who out there does stories? We want to know, are you actively doing stories? Are you seeing success with stories?
And stories work like phenomenally well. I know like on Instagram in particular, like they're a pretty powerful part of the toolkit, and they're worth like definitely featuring as part of the arsenal. There's a lot of like sort of incongruous sort of functionality though, I think, like sort of like across the story landscape, because some tools let you like load a video in, some you have to record them in the tool, some tools prioritize stories that are made in the tool. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of interesting use cases in stories. I feel like there's a little bit emerging around it, kind of like how Snapchat originally, sort of like was like people had to go figure out how to like create content inside of the tool.
Yeah.
There's a bit of that. I think like on Instagram in particular, though, you can make and import media, so a lot of folks use third-party tools to create stories as well. But the interesting thing about the finding is like really how fast the stories are rising, right? Like So you can see like the distribution there. That I think the yellow line, right, is our stories.
The yellow line is vertical video.
Oh, vertical video,
vertical.
even better.
So
oh,
yeah,
wow.
it's saying, according to the report, vertical video is now the most used video format on Facebook, which could make it an even more significant consideration for marketers based on shifting consumer habits. So the yellow line is vertical videos. The green line at the top is widescreen videos, kind of like what we're doing today.
Yeah.
Which is still acceptable, but vertical videos are really starting to rise.
That is ridiculous.
Isn't
Look
it?
at how fast, you know, that green line is like just going down, right?
No, I didn't expect the trend to be like that, but that's surprising. Vertical videos are a winner.
Yeah, well, no, that red line is actually square video. So
Which I don't think
what the
I've
hell is
ever
a square
seen.
video?
Square would probably be like Instagram.
Oh, those are Instagram videos, I guess.
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
So those are kind of flatlined, it seems.
Which, as we know, that's not really a popular thing.
So what do you think, Danny? Do you think that the vertical video is popular because people are just using more people are taking up using like what they have available to them?
Yeah,
right?
they're using their most powerful streaming tool right
Yeah.
here, which shoots pretty amazing front focus camera and vertical video. And it's easier just to upload it. And as we know, even on social media, on Facebook, a vertical video is going to take up a bigger part of the screen.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a marketing tactic.
Interesting
as
thing,
well.
though, because one of the things that the article is pointing out was that when Instagram TV started, they took a lot of flack because they were only vertical video.
Only vertical.
And so look at that line growing. Like, I wonder when vertical video came out, right? Like,
But
what
it
part?
says-
But
Yeah.
then Instagram was like, hey, we're going to horizontal as well, right? So
They added as well, which is important to know. So I think that tells us, at least from my perspective, that stories is a thing. We
Yeah.
know that already.
Yeah.
It's a time-consuming way to create content. We know that. It's typically doing 12 or 15 stories, maybe
Yeah.
even more for the high-end story people, but that's doing that throughout the day.
Right.
But something to note, if you're really building brand or want to build a personal brand or get your digital brand out there.
Yeah,
Stories
and then
can win.
you know I've seen it, for example, also on YouTube a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like it's rarer on YouTube, I would say. Like they have a special icon on it when it actually goes like vertical.
Right.
But it's a little different. But you know it's still there, right? So that's an interesting sort of analog as well. So they
we
are
have
saying engagement here, right?
Yeah, average engagement by video format for all page sizes. So left is landscape, middle is square, vertical is the right side. So that's engagement by video format. So it's basically saying that vertical video is starting to win.
Wow.
It's starting to really take over landscape. Now, these numbers aren't huge. We're going from 0.21% to 0.30%, so it's 0.09% of a difference. But it's saying that vertical video is starting to grow. Vertical video is starting to make it happen.
Yeah, so that is interesting. And look, as we all know, like our phones are easier to use in the vertical sort of position, right? Like it still affords
fits in
us.
your hand
Yeah,
right.
I feel like when you turn your phone into the landscape mode, you've gone into a pure consumption mode.
Yes.
Versus like that multitasking mode. So like when I'm like vertical or upright, like I still feel like I have the chance to switch over to like doing something else or checking on something else, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's definitely an interesting overlap there that is worth paying attention to. Actually, the next stat there gives us a little bit more detail on like what vertical video has to offer.
Yeah, so that's a pretty active category. Can we try to explain this? The red is square, the green is landscape,
That's
and
nuts.
the yellow is vertical. So
Yeah.
it's basically saying...
So who's using it the most? Clothing is using the vertical video the most.
Right.
Internet, whatever that means, health and beauty, all the normal top winners, right, have all moved in, and made their way to sort of using sort of the big things. Look at the TV shows, though, like all the old school guys, government, right, like way down at the bottom, publishers still all, late to catch on. Who's that big red line in the middle? Magazine, right?
A magazine.
Yeah.
I'm going to make this big for you just to see
Yeah.
what category you all are in, but it's something to note. If you're in the clothing industry, you should be using vertical video. Everybody's starting to see, real success with it. If you're into health and beauty, entrepreneur, retail company.
Why are they all using square videos? The real thing, were people repurposing content for Instagram? Is that?
It must be, because Square seems like it's taking it over. Let's read a little deeper into the article.
Yeah.
A little surprisingly, the highly visual sectors like fashion and travel top the list, but it's also interesting to note the relatively low usage in recreation and sports.
And GoPros don't shoot square, right?
GoPros don't shoot square.
So that's really interesting. So I think there is a big opportunity over time, right?
Yeah.
To sort of like figure out ways. So look, if you see like your space is not using that format yet, if you want to really get ahead of the curve, I think the opportunity here is to say like, oh wow, we got pretty low coverage of the vertical video, like at the political level. Start making that. Video creators start making more vertical video, right? Like there's a chance to grow and be ahead of the curve.
Yeah. This one I love.
Yeah.
This is video length that we're going to come up on. This is like one of the major questions that I get asked all the time is how long should my video be?
Yeah.
Like people don't quite know because they know we see, this is just my opinion and you can chime in on it.
Yeah.
Ads are typically shorter videos, shorter attention spans. If you're running an ad, a sponsored ad.
Yeah, the odds that you're making an ad anyone wants to watch for a long time, probably zero.
Probably zero.
Right.
You got like 3 seconds to get major attention, and then you probably have 15 seconds of their time to see if they're going to actually do an action or not. Jennifer Loveton, hey, what's up? This is so interesting because vertical on Facebook from desktop has the weird gray bars on either side.
Oh, it's horrible. Facebook doesn't support it well. Imagine when that happens. That's going to really change the game, I think.
So look, we get to throw those comments on the live stream.
That's nice.
Pretty sweet. Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, so I think ads are typically a shorter video, and then lives can be a little longer video. So one thing I like to say, which just kind of corroborates what I was saying, is that you want to be in that 10 to 15 minute range. And I'm going to blow this up for our viewers at home. Let me get this up for you, Greg.
Yeah, I can see it. Yep.
Okay, cool. So what it's saying, go ahead and decompress that for us.
Yeah, so according to this, basically, median rate is 10,000 for, wow, this is, engagement rate. Oh, yeah. Oh, so looking at engagement by video length, basically.
By video length,
right?
Yeah,
it's pretty normalized here, right? Like, I mean, the only one that seems like mildly is the short videos, but because it's probably less surface area to grab onto.
Yeah.
Right? Like you likely have said less that is worth engaging with, right? I think like that lower thing is probably like, so if you think about like, let's brainstorm here, like the types of things you may want to fit into or cram into like a less than a 1 minute. I think like a single question poll, maybe a little news tidbit or an announcement, that's probably that less than 1 minute. That's like a, hey, I'm checking in, I'm popping in to do whatever, right?
And it's important to know that these probably, since we're talking so much about vertical video today, this probably has a lot of stories involved in it as well, which is always less than a minute.
I think the big opportunity, though, is look at that 10 to 20 minute, crushing it, right? At
That's
0.87.
what I say.
Yeah,
I'm glad
so nice,
I'm glad
right?
it corroborated that. I mean, because what it means is like, we're trying to build a viewer base here.
Yeah.
You're going to watch long term if you find that we're valuable or not.
Yeah.
The beauty is when you find that it's valuable, it's better to just stay and hang out longer and be a part of the family.
Now, one of the things I did hear and I read about in a different study was that part of the reason for the time length, like, is that the services take we talked about this last time actually, but but for the notifications to actually be delivered, and then for people to like move to like opening, etc. Right? There's sort of like a boot up time for participation, right? So like in a minute video, you might already miss sort of that live engagement, live participation because like someone has that, oh, I just saw the notification.
They weren't notified. I did some research on this, and it takes Facebook around 20 minutes to have notified everybody that they want to notify.
Okay, well that's a long time.
So they're saying that the average peak viewer time for a live video is actually 20 minutes.
Wow.
Because it takes Facebook that long to really notify everybody, hey, this person's live, hey, this person's
live. So I think the real question that's still left open then is like, what about what's past this? Right?
Yeah.
Like, what about 20 to 25 or even longer, right? What about like an hour-long show, right? Like, has that got room to play somewhere?
I think it does, but...
Let's do like a 4-hour one and see what happens, right?
This is, I don't know if anybody out there in the community, if you're like this, when I click on a video, I see at the bottom how long it is.
Yeah.
If it is longer than 30 minutes, my decision's made.
That's right.
I mean, unless it's like such good content, I'm kind of like, do I have 30 minutes? I don't have 30 minutes.
Well, here's the interesting thing, though. I think that there's a correlation probably to like the title, the captioning, the value prop that you put forward, right? Because like the reality is like if the promise is like learn the code Vue.js, right? Like, and it's 1 minute, my guess is that's not an informative video relative to actually learning how to do it. But if it's an hour long, I'm like, okay, this seems like a meaty, like deep dive or tutorial. So I think like there's a like probably like a 2x2 grid of some kind here, right? Like where video length correlates to sort of like caption, promise, right? Like, or sort of the promise you offer in like the wording around the thing. Most people may not read the description, right?
Yeah.
But that title's got to really say, like, what am I supposed to be getting inside of that,
Yeah,
right?
Jennifer says, I read to Greg, longer videos allow people to actually jump on live. Yeah, so, you know, that's a great point, Jennifer, because what I tell people is, okay, you got to think about two things. Are you wanting a big live audience?
Yeah.
Because if you are, go longer. You're going to have so much time for people to hop on live and talk to you. Are you wanting more views?
Yeah.
You're likely better off to keep it a little shorter to get more views.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
just really the way it is. So that's a great point.
Now, here's the thing. There's the practical sort of result of this, though, right? Like, which is that a short video likely has less editing for us, like in our post-production uses, right? Like, or promotional uses, right? But a longer video does give you a little bit more tuna to cut up, right?
Totally.
Make more steaks.
Totally.
So, you know, I think that's also a trade-off worth considering, right? Like, if you're working multi-platform, there are different lengths that maybe you have opportunities to participate in, like for static video as opposed to like real-time video. And so you should think about that, you know, like as well, because that same factor, like there may be a sweet spot. These numbers are overall, but that doesn't mean that like on LinkedIn, for example, like a 3-minute video doesn't do way better than like, right, or whatever it may be. So, but keep this in mind, like as you think about how to parse out your video.
That last thing you said about LinkedIn brings up like 2 points that I really like to talk about.
Yeah.
One, there's no piece of content that will reach everybody.
Yeah.
Some people are like, I'm going to watch a 1-minute video. If you can, I'm so busy. If you can get me info fast, I'll watch it. If not, I'll never watch you again.
Yeah.
And 2, there's no one piece of content that performs everywhere. So if you're out there thinking, how can I do this so that I can do a Facebook Live and then upload it to LinkedIn and then have it on YouTube and it's going to perform everywhere, it just isn't. Every platform requires something so different.
That's right.
Don't you agree?
No, absolutely. There is different personalities there. There's different audience there.
Yeah.
You know, the type of the palette for knowledge is different often in multiple places. It's also partially why pure resampling of your content over to another place may not be appropriate, right? Like so we shouldn't presume that it makes sense to just take a piece of content and shove it into every place I can. It may be that you need to edit it, or maybe you may need to narrate it or add to it to sort of give it context for a new place.
Right. I want to highlight this too. It says the other consideration to keep in mind here is Facebook's recent algorithm change, which will reward videos that keep people engaged, especially on videos that are at least 3 minutes long. If you're looking to publish regular episodic videos like we're doing now, right? In order to build a video following, then this is another aspect to factor in. But we don't have any data on the actual reach of impacts change yet.
And that's true. I think that's an important point. A lot of this is new, right? Like, so people are really definitely figuring out all of this stuff. The live space, I remember the Social Media Examiner had a big study. They're pretty comprehensive, right? But they still only had like 2 or 3 data points about like actual live streaming because like it wasn't like covered nearly enough yet.
So I don't have an image for this.
Yeah.
I didn't pull this up. But I'll pull this up on the case study. But talk about...
It's the good stuff.
That is, we left the good stuff out. I'm going to bring it up on the study because I forgot to actually add the...
Yeah, but it was a really important point.
It really is, and I
to
forgot
us,
it.
especially.
I didn't go down far enough. Live streams will still see higher levels of engagement.
Yeah.
So this is the chart we're going to look at today. Let me zoom in on that. There we go. All right, cool. So what this is saying, let me pull this up for you.
No, I can see it over here.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
It's saying that average engagement rate for live streaming and pre-recorded videos. So this is huge.
Yeah.
How are live streaming and pre-recorded videos really kind of comparing versus each other when it comes to engagement rate?
Yeah.
And let's see, green is pre-recorded and yellow is live. So in every category except for pages that have more than 100,000 fans.
Yeah.
So we're not really talking to you. You're probably not watching us if you have more than 100,000 fans. But if you have less than 10,000 fans, you're getting a substantial increase that you can see here on engagement.
And I think I have an insight into this that, I have a hypothesis, right?
Yeah.
I believe that, there's this relationship between engagement, like in community, like sort of like closeness, right? Like, as the smaller an audience is, right? And so like what actually happens is I feel like when it's live, I feel like it's like think about it, less than 10,000 fans, like you almost feel like you're getting a one-on-one consultation, right? Like where like it's a Q&A session, it's like real. I'm there.
Yeah, we're talking to Jennifer today.
Yeah, like we're basically answering Jennifer's question. Come on, Jennifer, we know you got more in you. Come on, right? And I think that's what's interesting and powerful, right? Is that the smaller the audience is, the more close knit that community actually is.
That's a
and
great
as
point.
the audience gets bigger, you're sort of like, I don't need to be there live because like
they don't talk to me.
Yeah, well,
They don't
and
listen to me.
two things happen, I think, right? Like one, the format hardens over time. Right, and so like what to expect, or like what, like like for example, will they actually answer questions, or there's too many people asking questions? Oh, I'm not going to bother asking those questions because like they don't even see, the stream goes by so fast. If you've ever been on a stream with like someone who has like 100,000 fans, you can't even read the comment stream in live.
Yeah, you're right.
It's just like blasting by, right?
Yeah.
And so it almost becomes too difficult to participate in it anyway, right? And so as that audience gets bigger and bigger, and it's a pretty dramatic drop anyway, right? Like as those buckets, right? Like 10 to 100,000, right? It's like 1/3 the size, right?
Totally.
Like so the engagement rate, like honestly, like it almost like begs the question of like is it worth having smaller channels that are connected, right? Like if you want really highly engaged content, right? Versus like going up, right? But look, we're all starting from zero, so when you're starting, you can see what you kind of can expect. And I think that's the best thing to think about with these numbers is use it as a barometer, right? Of like, is my engagement like not right? And then what are the best practices that I should be thinking about like to get more engagement in show?
Yeah, and I think one thing just as a change in Facebook's way of doing things is there's this big rise, and I'd love to do a show about this, on groups and the importance of groups. So there is an ability. I know I have a group that I'm starting to cultivate because there is that ability. There's those three tiers of ways to communicate with people on social media. And I'm going to use Facebook because I'm the Facebook guy. You're the LinkedIn guy. But I'm going to say Facebook is personal profile, business page, and group.
Yeah.
Personal profile, you can't really sell people all the time.
Right.
Come on, they're going to be like, shut up.
Yeah.
Business page, you can do some significant selling. When somebody
that's why they're there, right?
When somebody likes your page, it's the equivalent of like I am today to go, hey, buy my thing.
Yeah.
And then group is like, hey, wear the hat, get in there, just click live and start talking. So I think if you're really focusing on your silos, you can still kind of engage. So I'd love to see groups too. So Jennifer says, I totally agree with that. I am more likely to participate with a smaller audience, and even my followers do the same. It feels more intimate engagement. That's a plus in my book.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Great point, Jennifer. Love that you said that. I'm going to throw your comment up here. It's so true. So don't forget, personal profile, pages, and groups.
Yeah.
But this is crazy data that we shared today.
So this is really great. It's the start of the insights, I think, into the space and like what's actually required to be successful. It's a lot more than we know yet. I mean, I think everyone's still figuring this stuff out. Like today, like I still can't even get the thing to stream.
Are we not LinkedIn Live anymore?
No, I'm recording, but I'm not. I can't connect to my stream. So
gotcha.
LinkedIn
Live still has some bugs. If anybody's interested,
there's some growing pains going on. Someone's gonna get an angry email. But here's the thing, like the live dimension. And look, there's also, like, let's be clear, there's also the newness again of live. Right, like so there's a little bit of that, right? Like every new format, like every marketer rushes to sort of participate and jump on board with those things. Yeah. So you got to expect that there's always going to be a bit more of that as new things, people try to play with them and tinker with them.
Totally.
But that said, as Danny and I talked about last week, live offers a lot of affords us a lot of opportunities that we don't get, right? Yeah. And it saves us a lot of time, and it creates a bit more for us to work with. So I think live has definitely got a lot of room to grow, like the most room to grow. But even as you were saying, like video as a whole is still categorically still fairly new, right? Like, like the last company, Peter and I, we worked together. We did thousands of hundreds of different like user-generated content campaigns for brands, and almost never did they ask for video. Like, what, twice, 3 times, like maybe like in the life of a 7-year business, right? Like, did anyone seriously ask for video, like submissions from for fans? Yeah. That's changed towards the end of the business. I think I saw like an uptick in it where it became more acceptable. But the other problem, like especially with user-generated video, you got to watch it all to know what's in it, right? Like the technology wasn't there yet to sort of vet it and like screen it and make sure that there weren't inappropriate things, right?
Yeah.
So, like also for brand safety, I think a lot of brands worry about live because, like people may swear, they may do things that they don't want to have out there. And,
Oh, yeah. There's every business. I end up working with a lot of businesses, and I'm going to write a book on this. I call it the 5% rule.
Yeah.
We make every decision on the 5% of what could go wrong.
Right. Yeah. I know.
And we miss the 95% of what could go right.
And that is
this and that can happen.
Horrible,
so
unfortunate place to live your life,
isn't it? Big businesses like that too.
Yeah.
So, what did you guys think about the show? We'd love feedback. This is the first of many. We're gonna have fun with this, aren't we?
We are, and
I'm kind of pumped up just because
there's just so much stuff, right? Like, I mean, it's like all these. Like, even today, I probably came up with like 10 ideas for new topics that we should go after.
Me too. We're gonna have to write these down.
Yeah. So, if you've got ideas that you would like us to talk about, we'd love for you to just drop a comment down below, give us a like. Let us know that this is something you're interested in.
Totally.
If you want to reach me, you can just hit me up an email. I'm Gregarious at Foundercraft.
Yep.
Happy to chat with you about anything I can. And, of course, you can reach Danny right here as well.
Yeah, we'll put our stuff in the comments below just so you can really connect with us a lot easier. But let us know your questions.
Yeah.
What do you want us to cover? What would you like to see more of? We will deep dive into it and teach what we find out about
And we will update you next week on whatever effort and energy we put into actually trying to make this show better.
Totally.
All right.
Yeah, because you see this setup we're looking at.
Yeah.
It's epic right
It is
now.
pretty epic. Next time we'll have a picture up of our behind the scenes.
I'm in heaven.
Yeah.
All right,
everyone.
Yeah. Thanks
a lot.
Great show.
Great job, man.
We'll see you guys
All right.
next week.
Bye-bye.